So have you ever wondered what youth soccer is like in other countries? Recently, I spent 3 weeks in Argentina, and this video is me sharing my observations of how youth soccer works down there versus the United States. So let's go. So some of you guys know that my wife's family is from Cordoba, Argentina. And we do go usually every other year to visit them and to spend some time. And we did that recently, which is one of the reasons that I haven't had a lot of videos posted. Now, I was able to talk to a lot of relatives. I was able to talk to some coaches down there, but predominantly I got a lot of my information because my two sons were able to train at one of the academies in Cordoba, Argentina. The club is Belgrano. And Belgrano is a club that is currently in the Argentine First Division. So my oldest son is a 2010 and my youngest son is a 2014. So they were able to train down there, and I was really able to get a lot of insight into the training sessions, into youth soccer just in general, the environment down there. And so I really wanted to share it with you guys on this channel. So one thing you notice right away is how much football, how much soccer is in the culture. And I mean, they play all the time. They play at family parties, they play at dinner, they play in school. And this isn't something that they're doing, from 5:30 to 7 Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then they play a game on Saturday. I mean, this is something they do all the time, every single day. And I'm not talking necessarily something structured, but just unstructured play. Just juggling the ball, either with a partner, without a partner. You'll go to somebody's house, there's always a soccer ball somewhere, even inside the house, on the floor. And it's really hard to overstate how powerful this is, because it's not just a game that they're playing. This is literally a part of who they are. One of the first things I wanted to know was, what was the cost to the families to play youth soccer in Argentina? And for the most part, it's free. They do have some costs associated with particular training, jerseys, but at the end of the day, cost is never an issue. In fact, some of the better players come from particularly poor backgrounds in Argentina, and they don't have to pay anything if they can't afford it. If you're wondering how they get away with not charging fees, check out my video on pay to play. And I describe in detail what other countries do with training compensation, with solidarity payments, with club memberships. There's lots of other ways to fund a soccer club if you're in a different soccer ecosystem. Another thing I was curious about was player movement. So how do players who are good enough go up the chain and get to bigger clubs? Well, first of all, most of the bigger clubs have recruiters. And wherever you are in the country, if you're good enough, typically one of these recruiters will see you. Sometimes they get referrals from members and supporters of the club. So you are a butcher an hour from Belgrano in a small city in Argentina, but you notice there's a really good 15-year-old kid who plays on that local team. Oftentimes they will give phone calls to Belgrano, to recruiters, and players will be found that way. This is in stark contrast to what happens in the United States, where it can be a very tricky pyramid to navigate, different leagues, different teams, and a lot of players really get missed because they just can't find what the proper pathway is for them. The other thing is that clubs are looking to move players for money because of the ecosystem that's involved. So if there's a player for Belgrano who is playing really well, they will look to try to sell him to either a club outside the country or even a bigger club like Boca or River within the country. This is completely opposite to the way the majority of the clubs run in the United States, where they're not looking to move players. In fact, they don't want players to leave because that means payments will leave, customers will leave. So I was able to watch a few of the sessions, and that was actually very unique because the parents typically are kept out of the complex that they had. The first thing that struck me was how unorganized the sessions were comparatively to, let's say, an MLS Academy session. One time they just played 6v6, kind of free flow for an hour. Some of the teams actually had a day of just fitness. They definitely allow headers at the younger ages. I saw kids 9, 10 years old aggressively going to head the ball. So lastly, I was able to watch a few games that the academy team played. Was Belgrano versus Instituto, which is another first division club, and they played a couple different age groups back to back, and I was able to watch almost 3 games, and it was really interesting on many levels. First, just the parent behavior on the sideline. Most of them were very relaxed. Some of them weren't even paying attention to the game. Very rarely, if I even heard it once, was a parent yelling either at the ref or at their kids, their own kid, another player. If you've attended any soccer in this country, that's a very different situation where you are basically having the parents yelling a lot. They oftentimes just were sitting down, drinking mate, which is a form of tea. And, they would cheer. They were very smart. So when something good would happen, maybe even something subtle, they would clap, they would cheer. But there really wasn't the level of intensity that I've seen on the sidelines, even in younger ages in this country. The one thing that I did notice was the play of the players in Argentina. There's really 2 things that I think separate the players in Argentina from the players in this country on average. And it's not what you think. Most people think, oh, we're not technical enough. And I think at the highest levels, we absolutely are technical. I thought both my sons fit in just fine from a technical standpoint. The 2 biggest takeaways that I got were, number one, they were way more physical. They were way more comfortable using their body in certain positions, certain situations, and they were way more aggressive physically. And these players were, they were at each other's throats. And I don't mean it in a bad or negative way. They were just really aggressive about using their body. The second thing that I noticed was just their understanding of the game made it so much faster. And I think that's culturally, I think they watch a lot of football on TV, but they just understood movements and spacing. So it wasn't so much that they were incredibly better on the ball, but that they were incredibly better even without the ball. They knew where to go, where the next pass was going to be. And those 2 things to me were the big takeaways when it comes to player versus player in Argentina youth versus United States youth. Another big difference, guys, is the facilities. So this was nowhere near high-level facilities. And I don't think that was something that they really put a lot of time and effort into. Whereas certainly in this country, a lot of the higher-level clubs play on fantastic facilities. I hope you guys liked that video. If you've had experiences in youth soccer in other countries, I would love for you to share those in the comments or reach out to me directly for a conversation. I always love that. And thanks for supporting the channel and watching, guys.